I'm Elizabeth Gearhart. I'm here with Lucia Vasquez, who is an intimacy coach. So, hi, Lucia. Tell us what you do and how you do it.
Yes, thank you. I'm Lucia, and I am a certified sexologist, an authentic Tantra practitioner. I'm also certified for Therapeutic Art Life Coaching, and I do somatic healing body work. And so I offer the intimacy coaching for individuals and couples who are looking to restore pleasure and sexual energy, who are looking to remove blocks in intimacy, and who are wanting to explore sexuality. And I also like to educate how pleasure can be used as a form of medicine.
Excellent. So, what does it look like to work with you? If somebody comes to you and says, I need help in this area, where do you start?
Yeah, so I start with an intake form that is just to get to know, a little bit about more of what you're looking for and what your goals are, and see if it's a good match for the both of us. Um, and so it begins with a 30-minute free consultation.
Okay. And then, what are some of the things that you would do to help people with this?
Well, yeah. So just to go into a little bit about what the type of tantra that I work with is that this is uh, this is a holistic healing modality within the lineage of Tibetan Tantra. And so it's rooted in Tibetan Tantra, specifically the five elemental healing practices and four pillars. And the four pillars, or the four areas of concentration, are meditation, movement, connection, and pleasure. And so combining compatible disciplines from Taoist sexual yoga, somatic sexual healing, nonviolent communication, and Western science. What this all means is that the focus here is on the suffering, and these four pillars are used to heal the suffering. So each pillar catalyzes healing. So with meditation, it's used for energy healing, movement, somatic healing for the body. Connection is restorative, right? It connects us to our infinite self. And pleasure is our medicine. It's our birthright. It's what it bathes us in our ultimate truth. And this is all kinds of pleasure. So not just sexual pleasure, right? It's sensual pleasure. It's emotional pleasure, spiritual pleasure.
Excellent. So, who are your typical clients and how do they find you?
Yeah, I work with individuals and couples, and um, I myself am a survivor of sexual abuse, so I do advocate for those who have, um, who have any kind of form of abuse. I support those, and I support those with disabilities. And I like to work with those who are uh, in their exploring, right? So they're exploring their sexuality, and they need a really safe place and to dive in deeper with that. Um, I can be reached by my website, by any social media. I'm pretty much on all of them: LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram, and Twitter. And so you can pretty much just look up my name, and it'll pop right up LinkedIn right away, and you can be able to access my website through there.
Excellent. And your website is Embodied Elements, right?
It is Embodied Elements with the hyphen WP.com.
Oh, okay.
And so it
So,
stands for Embodied Elements for Wellness and Pleasure.
oh, okay, great. So, do you have to meet people in person or can you do things remotely?
I can definitely do everything right now remotely. Yes. So because of the pandemic they were in, everything is done virtually online.
So, you mentioned meditation. Is that a big part of what you recommend for people to do and movement?
Yeah, so there's these four pillars are used, to remove blocks. And a lot of times for example, for movement, we hold a lot of stuckness or tightness in our pelvic area. And so the movement is to get your stuck energy there flowing, and for meditation to become present and aware, in any circumstance.
Right. Yeah. I've heard practically my whole life that we do hold things physically in parts of our body that affect how our mind functions. It's there. The mind body connection is very complex, and there's a lot of different disciplines that try to help you overcome those blocks in those areas. But you said that you are a little different than other coaches of this type. What makes your practice different?
Yeah, so the specific type of tantra that this is we're taking um, all different kinds of practices from each one of those four categories, and we're using it to catalyze and heal whatever blocks that are there that's keeping you from being able to access your full pleasure potential. So it's using somatic healing, which is a combination of breath, touch, and awareness, and essentially using pleasure as a form of medicine for healing.
Excellent. So do you have a success story you can talk about? You don't have to give their name.
Yeah, sure. Well, actually, I could even just talk about myself, because it has definitely been a wonderful experience for myself. When I was going through the training, I definitely found out a whole lot about myself, that things that I thought I had already overcome, and specifically with regards with my own abuse. One of the things that stood out for me was I had went through many years of talk therapy, and it was really helpful. I had received a lot of many good coping skills. Later on in life, when it came to marriage and things like that, relationships, things started to arise for me that at that time I didn't understand that there was a connection with my trauma. I've learned that there are three blocks to bliss, and they are the lack of education, lack of awareness, and lack of sensation. And that pretty much was my own self. So, not knowing about our physical anatomy in detail, and the inability to stay focused and present with my partner, and even at times my own self. And there was a lack of sensation for myself because of the stored emotion that was held in my genitals, from trauma. Mm-hmm. And so learning the practices and going through each one of the pillars really helped to unfold a lot of the things that I was carrying there. And in the end, and it's still a learning process, so this is a continuing, ongoing thing that kind of you're just blossoming like a flower, right? And so, or it's like an onion where you're shedding layers off every single time you remove a block. And so I have definitely accomplished a lot of obstacles that I did not think I would be able to do so. And I'm now like 40 years of age. And so you're talking like years, if not, of being stuck, because I was not aware of this process of somatic healing, and now once I have received that, those practices and that knowledge and that wisdom, I'm able to get through a lot more things now.
Well, that's excellent, because I know a lot of people do talk therapy, and it does help to some degree, but sometimes it feels like there are just things that will never get fixed. But it sounds like you found a way to fix at least some of those, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I think, this is, it works really great as an additional therapy for those who are in the regular talk therapy. And it's good to combine it. I have worked with other therapists who they get to a point where they're just really stuck, right? And then it's understanding that depending on you, we hide our emotions and our traumas in our body, in our tissue, in our energetic body system. And the only way to really get through that is to go through a somatic process and understand why, right? And so that's where, this definitely comes in play and helps.
Well, that's really fascinating. And I personally believe that there is a lot to it, to what you're saying, and the body storing negative energy in different parts of the body that needs to be released. So that's fascinating. So how long does somebody typically work with you then?
There's different programs. A lot of them are long-term. Everybody's different. But for example, you could start off with something of like 4 to 6 sessions over a stretch of anywhere from 3 to 6 months. And then for those, depending on what the goals are, it could be longer.
Okay, so then do you give people exercises to do between sessions?
Yes. So it's one-on-one. You get homework, right? So that you can and practice at home, and then we connect again. So it's truly it's a learning process, and it's truly a transformative experience.
So how many people do you think you've helped, just roughly?
Oh gosh. I'm not sure. Let's see, a good large handful.
So a lot. So you've been doing this for a little while, and you've helped a lot of people break through and get rid of some of those physical blocks that are stored physically, mental blocks that are stored physically, right? I guess maybe
Right.
that's the way to say it. Yes. Yes. Excellent. So do you give people a free consultation and then you go from there? Oh, okay.
Yeah. So you can set up a free consultation directly on my website,
Okay.
and then you fill out the intake form prior, and then we go over in the consultation everything that's in the intake form, which is about your previous history, what is it that why you are interested in seeking services, and what is it that your top goals are, to see that it's a good fit. Because a lot of times people think this is solely about uh, sexual practices only, and this is truly a transformative process. And so, going through the stages to reach your goal, which is pleasure in the end, is definitely a must, versus just going straight into pleasure.
Right. And then it'll last. And we all need that in our life, more of that.
Yeah.
Right. Absolutely. Great. Is there anything else that we need to know about your business?
Yeah, no, I think that I've covered a good little bit of information there. If you have any additional, questions, definitely feel free to connect with me.
Excellent. Thank you, Lucia.
You're very welcome. Thank you for having me.